question. Okay. All right. We are good to go. Okay, guys. So now we are talking about the last question. Am I clearly audible? Okay, good. So we are now talking about the last question, which is the often called the course of action question. All right. Now, this question has a mark range somewhere between 20 to 22. However, for the past two or three intakes, it has not strayed from 20 marks. यानी ये 20 marks का ही आया है. पहले इसकी थी थोड़ी सी 24 तक भी एक आध दफा चला जाता था, but now it stays at 20. अच्छा, इस क्वेश्चन का जो आंसर है दैट्स बेस्ड ऑन इस क्वेश्चन का जो आंसर है दैट्स बेस्ड ऑन both your personal knowledge and the all the four sources that are present. अच्छा, इंटरेस्टिंग बात है कि यू डोंट इट इज़ नॉट अ नेसेसिटी कि यू यूज्ड एनीथिंग फ्रॉम द सोर्सेज, और ये भी नेसेसिटी नहीं है कि आप पर्सनल नॉलेज यूज़ करें. आप बेशक यू कैन बेस योर एंटायर आंसर ऑन द सोर्सेज और यू कैन बेस योर एंटायर आंसर ऑन योर पर्सनल नॉलेज. लेकिन जितने भी हाई मार्क्ड आंसर्स देखे हैं मैंने आज तक कैम्ब्रिज की तरफ से, और जितने क्वेश्चंस को मैंने माई सेल्फ भी हाईली मार्क किया है, दे आर really based on a combination and amalgamation of both your personal knowledge and all four sources. होता ये कि जब स्टूडेंट्स नैरो माइंडेड होके एक तरफ लग जाते हैं तो वो दूसरी चीज को इग्नोर कर देते हैं. जो सोर्स में से आंसर देखने निकल जाएगा वो पर्सनल नॉलेज को इग्नोर कर देगा, और जो खुद से आंसर देना शुरू हो जाएगा वो सोर्स को इग्नोर कर देगा. बट इट इज अ वेरी open ended question, so you don't really have to worry about all these things. Now, what is the question? The question basically is that you, the examiner is going to highlight an issue, and they're going to say that there is this issue that needs to be resolved. Relating to that issue, they are going to give you 3 courses of action, right? And the ask here is that you select a preferred course of action and base your response around that particular course of action. However, the other 2 options that you did not prefer or did not select also play a part in your answer. You cannot ignore them either. You also have to discuss them, how we will just discuss in a bit. Okay, now what is the structure of the question? This is the structure that has been tried and tested. I have checked multiple scripts of students who have scored 70 out of 70, 69, 68, and in this particular question they have scored 20 out of 20, 19 out of 20, and this is the structure that they have followed. All right, it was obviously uh, they I mean some there are some other preferred structures out there as well. कुछ लोग कहेंगे कि इस तरीके से किया जाए, उस तरीके से किया जाए, but this is the structure that I'm pretty sure is very acceptable at Cambridge level and fetches you the highest level of marks, right? So you start with stating your choice. तो पहला आपकी first line or the first 2 lines is कि you start with कि I believe that this is the best option, or this is the best course of action, or this is the best solution for this problem. So this is how you answer the first, you begin your answer. All right, Then comes the first part. Now this part is usually somewhere around 40 to 45 40 to 45% of your response. It it should be more than 40, not less than 40. Okay, this is the part where you justify why the course of action that you have selected is best. इस part के अंदर you can often mention a lot of uh, justifications, reasonings, even some data. Sometimes you can select some information from the source as well. Some students say, okay, can we write some negative or some disadvantage of our chosen option? Yes, you can. Not a necessity, but you definitely can. There is nothing wrong with it. Uh, yes, you may write your query, Nuhira. So in this question, when I want to add something from the source, do I mention which source I have taken it from, or do I just paraphrase it? Uh, Basically, you can do both, but yeah, it is good. It is it's a good impression if you mention the source, that as written in source one, or as, let's say, uh, J argued in source 4. So yeah, it is better to mention the source, but then afterwards whatever you write, you can paraphrase it, or you can write it word to word. Both things are pretty acceptable. Okay. Sir, I faced difficulty in solving question 4. Did you just join? Because that's what we are discussing. Yeah, that's what we are discussing basically. So once you have done this first part of the question, which is about this choice where students justify why this is the best course of action, then you have to follow it up with two paragraphs. Now these two paragraphs are going to be about the two options which you did not choose, and you must elaborate on the shortcomings of these choices. That why did you not select this? What do you think is uh, wrong with this option? However, be very careful. यहाँ पे do not outward reject the question, reject the uh, other two options, because let's have a look at the sample question. Consider different arguments and perspective. He's asking you to consider the different perspectives. In other words, he's asking you to do not outward reject them, बल्कि review them and tell us their shortcomings. I always say that the best way to handle it is to say something like that. I feel that these are also not bad options. However, there are these issues with them. This is issue is the reason that I have not selected them. So till this point, you have three paragraphs, and it is ultra important that you have written all of these in different paragraphs. If you mix and match it, अगर आप इसको mash up करेंगे, then examiner is not going to like your response, because uh, I think four, नहीं, two marks or four maybe, clarity of structure के marks भी होते हैं, I think इसमें 2 marks, yeah. Now sometimes you have enough time कि अभी paper खत्म, you're done with your paper, but you still have, let's say, 5 6 minutes left. Then you can add an optional paragraph. This In this optional paragraph, you can include a national, global, local, or a personal perspective regarding the option that you have chosen, to basically pile up on the already given evidence that you have provided in paragraph 1, to support the already given evidence that you have provided in paragraph. It is also very important that you conclude this question in a good manner. अभी तक हमने जितने भी questions के conclusion की बात की है global perspective में, I have been telling you that conclusion is just a formality in those questions. That it is just for the examiner to know that you are finished with the question. That's not the case in this question. In this question, the conclusion is important. The conclusion is necessary. It basically sort of, I wouldn't say it's a summary, but it's like how you summarize your answer in a good way, somewhere between 3 to 4 lines. Okay. When we discuss the sample, these things will become much clearer. Okay. Now let's look at this sample question. So like we discussed, okay, there is an issue which is hunger, and the government wants to resolve the issue, and three courses of action are being considered for resolving this issue. Now the rest is basically the same. You have to make a recommendation, and why. Let's move to a sample answer. Okay. Like I said, in the very first line, the recommendation has been made. So that's 1 mark for it. That uh, I would recommend investing in new farming technologies like tractors controlled by satellites. These can be used to grow enough food for everyone. Now he basically supports why he thinks this is the best option, right? He gives multiple reasons. Then basically he continues supporting his answer. You can make even 2 paragraphs of this, but uh, at least one is a minimum. Okay, these are a lot of questions. Sir, perspective question. Ayan Tariq, there is a, it was discussed yesterday, and we have a recording of that along with the what's it called? Along with the, yeah, slides in your group. You should go review it. Sir, it is okay to review all the sources before solving these questions. You should have already reviewed all the sources at this point. This option is not suitable because I we will just cover this. That in this option paragraph, do we explain the implication of implementing your solution on these levels, for example, national? Uh, One, that's one way to achieve it. You can also give example of it, right? I don't know if you do that later. Someone wanted to. Okay. Now, uh, so here is the part where it is justified, and then we move on to the second part. It- This is him discussing the option that he did not select. Providing free food is not a good option in my view. People in poverty need help to get themselves out of trouble in the long run. Education and training are better. Let's use money to improve investment in business in their communities rather than give away food that only makes them rely on other people. This doesn't solve the problem at the cause. My brother, now, this is him adding a personal perspective into the question. I think, or I would suggest, okay, this is something that you do in a separate paragraph, but this particular person has not done it. He has amalgamated it with this option because it is relevant to this option. My brother suffered from poverty and food shortages until he got a job and could afford to pay his own way. He says that our efforts should be to help people get employment and dignity, not dependence. I think he's right. This supports my recommendation. So, to support his recommendation, he used a personal perspective. And yes, if I were writing the answer, I would most definitely include it before the conclusion paragraph. The suggestion to train people is good as well, but it would take a long time to make a difference and only have an impact at local level. Now, this is one of the best ways to to basically let it down in a positive way. He's saying, yeah, it's a good option, ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है, but it would take a very long time. That's why I have not selected this option. What is needed is action by government across their nation to develop and share new food technologies. If linked to international cooperation coordinated by the UN and other international food organizations, this would work. This would really work quickly and help many people within a few years. To conclude, to use industrial farming with new technology to solve hunger, in my view, is the best solution to the problem of the hunger. And I suggest this. How many marks should this person get? It has to make sense, Anwar. But yeah, so a response like that would get somewhere around 17 to 18 marks because it's a good response. Yeah, I would say 17 is fine. So, improvements. What improvements can be made? Some of the reasons are explained in detail, while others are just mentioned briefly. This is I always say, okay, in long questions, developing your points are very important. Uh, he did not use any stuff from the source. While of course, like I say, okay, this is not a necessity, but this can definitely add health to your. This could definitely make your answer healthy. if it lacks health. तो उसके लिहाज से yeah, he could have used it and made his answer, made his response much better. Finally, the conclusion was like I said it shouldn't be. मैंने आपको भी कहा था कि जो conclusion होता है for this particular question, it should not be just a full stopper. It should basically more like a uh, like you are actually concluding or summarizing something. That's how it should. So that part was lacking. So that's why he lost a few marks. Otherwise, the approach was very on point. The uh, technical requirements were all fulfilled. Structuring was good, and he also used a perspective. One of the GNPs was also used in the paper. Right. Let's have a look at another sample answer. To reduce hunger, I would advise the government to train people to grow and sell food in their local area. This is once again uh, the same question. However, this person has chosen option 3 instead of option 2. He has chosen option 3. All right. So, would you read this and see कि क्या basic difference है, why his answer, why his response, why his defense is much more healthier as compared to the previous person? Because this person also came up with his, along with the reasoning, he also used the resource which allowed his question to become answer to become much more detailed. Let's see how many times he used the source. I think he used it a couple of times. uh, Seth and source 4 agree with this. Okay. Food charity claim in source 2. And then he mentions the virtue cycle from source 3. Okay, so at least 3 times he has mentioned the source, which is good. Now, after discussing the counter paragraphs, he moves on to a conclusion. So I believe that the best action is to train people how to grow food. It is more effective and follows the United Nations plans to create a more sustainable future that reflects local needs and reduces worldwide poverty via action at a local level. So you see, this is a much better formed conclusion as opposed to the previous one, which is just a it's just like a question stopper. Okay. This answer is slightly better, but it has again one weakness, that opposing arguments are not very healthy. As you see, he has not put a lot of effort into opposition, and this is where he loses 2 marks. Some connections could be better developed, but still, you will not lose a lot of marks based on this. But yes, this is definitely something which is going to lose you some marks. You must develop the opposing arguments in a very healthy and good way. Okay. I'm going to, before moving forward, I'm going to questions we are not choosing. Uh, I'm going to open the voice chat and then any questions. Yes, go ahead. No questions. You are all absolutely clear how to answer this question now. Okay. Should we move over?
Yes, sir.
Good. Let's see. Huh? I just explained that you can write a perspective that basically supports your choice. Yes, Yasub, curveball. Where is the curveball? Where is the curveball? Yes, now to the curveball. So, if you review the past papers, you would find out that if you basically review all the variants, you will find out that one times out of six or like one times out of seven, uh, the course of action question is replaced by a discussion question. Seriously, Aram Rabani, I'm gonna. So, so there is like a 16.67% chance of this coming in your exam as well. All right. So we cannot ignore it. इसके ऊपर एक और बहुत बड़ा मसला ये है which is very annoying for me that एक बहुत बड़ा इशू ये है कि जो mocks and मिड टर्म्स के पेपर होते हैं आमतौर पे which are usually from head offices, they usually do not contain this question. In fact, they have never contained this question. They always contain the course of action question. And at school level, even the student teachers, majority of the teachers do not uh, inform students or make them well prepared to tackle this question. That's a big issue. That's why if such a question comes, students are usually dumbfounded. They do not know how to handle it. Now, let's see what the question is. Okay, instead of basically giving you multiple courses of action, the examiner is just going to give you a statement. And the statement is basically pretty generalized statement. It's not a statement which uh, gives you a lot of room to work on. Now, let's have a look at this example. People should be encouraged to shop online. Do you agree with this statement or not? State your opinion, give reasons, everything that follows. Now, let's have a look at how to answer this particular question. The first thing is that, of course, once again, you start with stating your choice, whether you agree with that option or not. Once you have selected that, you have to discuss certain factors. All right. Okay. What is the scale of impact on, let's say, local communities and businesses in this particular scenario? How can there be different outcomes and consequences of online shopping in this particular case? Can there be any environmental issues that arise from this particular scenario? In this case, environmental costs of online and traditional shopping globally. The time taken is also something that you can consider here. Economic and political considerations, and of course, conflicts of interest and power. Now, you can, of course, go beyond these, but what you have to make sure is that you discuss multiple factors that align with your agreement. You discuss multiple factors that align with your agreement, and then you also discuss the opposite side. You are the king of asking irrelevant questions. Acha. So after that, there is one important thing that responses of which are highly marked do. They also make a paragraph about the opposite side of the argument. And in this paragraph, this they make a statement like, "Oh, we can see how people would disagree with this statement, or why people would disagree with this statement as well, because this can have this issues or this issue and this issue." And then you refer to the conclusion. In this question, the source becomes more important, much more important. Why? Because it's just one statement, and आपके लिए उस एक स्टेटमेंट के ऊपर इतना ज़्यादा डेटा कंपाइल करना बहुत डिफिकल्ट हो जाएगा. So what you can do is, okay, you can consult the sources, and one or another source would have a lot of supporting data for you. In fact, in in one particular paper, there was a complete source that justified the agreement part. अगर कोई agree करता है तो उसको एक source में उसके agreement की at least 5 to 6 reasons मिल रही थी in the source alone. So I'm just what I'm trying to basically incorporate in your mind again and again, that do not become so uh, myopic in your view that you do not review the source at all. इतना आप tunnel vision ना हो जाना इस question को attempt करते हुए कि source को आप totally ignore कर दें. Given of course that your personal information, your personal knowledge and data will contribute more towards this question as opposed to the source. But yeah, the source can always have some very helpful data. All right. So let's have a sample response. It's the same. This is the question, all right? Okay. Should people be encouraged to shop online? All right. So let's have a sample response. I partly agree, yes, that people should be encouraged to shop online as it provides clear benefits in terms of convenience and economic efficiency. However, this encouragement should be limited due to its negative impact on local businesses, inequality, and social interaction. Now, this is there is a very slight issue with this. Okay, his agreement is partial, and Cambridge is not a huge fan of partial agreements, but we have to see how he justifies it. So I'm not saying that this just makes his response not wrong, but like I say, Cambridge wants you to make definite decision instead of just partially agreement. Gee, yes, go on, ask your question. Sir, in such questions, do we write about its negative points while agreeing with it simultaneously, or will they? No, no, it will not ruin your answer. I just said you must cover the scope of the answer. Okay, I understand that what are the negative impacts of it. However, I still believe that the positives outweigh the negative. No, you have to write the negative. This question will never be uh, complete without the negative arguments. You have to write the negative outcome. It's not like the previous one where I said कि negative outcomes are optional. यहाँ पे negative आपको लिखने पड़ेंगे obviously. Yes, yes. You must write the negative. How many outcomes? What do you mean by how many outcomes? Oh, so how many impacts you mean? Yeah, at least 2 to 3 impacts can be written. Surely. Let's review the sample answer first. So this encouragement should be now. So like this is basically smart of the person that he at once goes towards the source because he realizes that this is a very vague question. So yeah, let's consider the source. According to source one, online shopping offers significant convenience, allowing consumers to purchase goods in India without traveling. This is particularly beneficial for people in remote areas. In addition, Source One suggested online platforms often. So, Source One was basically all about the advantages of online shopping, and he makes sure that he uh, uses it completely. Now, the counter arguments that we were just discussing. The source 2, however, highlights that the growth of online shopping can negatively affect small local businesses. As more consumers shift online, local shops may lose customers and be forced to close, leading to unemployment and economic decline in communities. This perspective is particularly relevant in developing countries where small businesses form a large part of the informal economy. While Source 2 may focus heavily on the negative impacts, it raises a valid concern that economic benefits are not evenly distributed. He's saying that Source 2 might be biased, but the the points that it is raising are completely valid. It's not something that can be ignored, right? Now, furthermore, Source 3 raises concerns about digital inequality and security risk. Not everyone has reliable internet or access or the digital literacy required to shop online safely. This means that encouraging online shopping could exclude vulnerable groups such as the elderly or low income population. Additionally, risk such as fraud and data breaches make online shopping less secure than it appears. Although Source 3 may emphasize risk, these concerns are supported by real cases of cybercrime, making the argument credible. On the other hand, it could be argued that technological advancement is inevitable and encouraging online shopping supports innovation and economic growth. Governments and businesses can also introduce regulation and support systems to protect consumers and help small businesses transition online. This suggests that the negative impacts are not unavoidable but can be managed. So he does mention a couple of negative impacts, but then he says, "Yeah, how he we can manage that," and that's the reason that he agrees with the statement. Now, this is the paragraph that I was talking about. That I can also see why people today would not encourage online shopping as it would impact a lot of businesses. Some people can have a vested interest while others might be afraid of the dangers of online frauds. But overall, it's a positive development in the world of in conclusion, while the sources show that online shopping offers clear advantages in convenience and cost, they also highlight serious economic and social drawbacks. Therefore, I believe that people should be encouraged to shop online to some extent, but this must be balanced with measures to protect local businesses, reducing inequality, and ensuring consumer safety. All right, now he covers a lot of areas, but can you identify a negative in his response?
जैसे तो उसमें एक साइड फोकस ही होगा कि दोनों को बेनिफिट
What? Can you repeat? I could not hear.
होता है उसमें ऐसी बात नहीं कि जैसे पता लगे कि उसका अपना ओपिनियन क्या है
Yes, he did not use self knowledge. The answer was basically almost devoid of s- arguments based on self knowledge. He relied almost completely on source. That it's still a very good answer, very good answer, 18 out of 20. But like I said, partial agreement can sometimes be considered as a negative, but he does justify it to an extent. Own ideas are not that much explored. There is too much lines on source, and that's why he might lose a mark or two. But otherwise, it's a very, very, very well balanced answer. Okay, now questions about this. Yeah, I open the floor. You can ask questions. Ji, Adi.
सर हमने इसमें एक साइड पे एग्री नहीं करना कि हम इस स्टेटमेंट में एग्री करें या नहीं, या फिर हमने इसको बैलेंस रखना है?
एग्रीमेंट एग्रीमेंट करना बेहतर है, बट बैलेंस का मतलब ये कि आपको नेगेटिव साइड्स पे डिस्कस करनी पड़ेंगी। मैंने जैसे वही कहा ना कि पार्शियल एग्रीमेंट जो होता है, जिस तरह का इस बंदे ने किया है, दैट कैन एट टाइम्स बी कंसिडर्ड अ नेगेटिव। मार्क्स उसको अच्छे मिले ऑब्वियसली, क्योंकि उसने अपने पार्शियल एग्रीमेंट को जस्टिफाई भी किया है, बट आई वुड कंसिडर के यू अनलेस के इट इज़ वेरी वेग, आप टोटल एग्रीमेंट की तरफ ही जाए। लेकिन टोटल एग्रीमेंट का मतलब ये नहीं है कि आपने नेगेटिव साइड डिस्कस नहीं करनी, नेगेटिव साइड आपने फिर भी डिस्कस करनी है। काउंटर आर्ग्यूमेंट्स वाला पैराग्राफ आपने फिर भी बनाना है छोटा सा। जी, there are people, balance between source, it's not a necessity कि you need like a 50-50 thing, but yeah, if you use both, then it's better. It's not necessity that it's a, you could completely disagree, of course, you can go both ways. यस, ओन इन्फो कुछ ना कुछ सम लेवल तक, सम एक्सटेंट तक होनी चाहिए। यस, दैट्स बेसिकली करेक्ट। दैट डिपेंड्स अपॉन द टॉपिक अलमदार, इट कम्प्लीटली डिपेंड्स अपॉन द टॉपिक के टॉपिक क्या है, एंड क्या कहते हैं उसके बारे में, हाउ मच डू यू नो, देन वट एवर दैट इज यू कैन इंक्लूड इट विदाउट एनी इशू। जी, any more queries? You can take a couple of minutes to think before we move on. Sir, it is, yes, it is quite possible to achieve 20 marks out of 20. In fact, I am just about to show you a student who scored 20 marks in this question. And let me tell you that uh, I would not have granted that student 20 marks. I would have granted him 17 or 18. But somehow, uh, क्या कहते हैं, कैम्ब्रिज जो है उसने उसको 20 मार्क्स दिए हुए हैं. सो दैट गिव्स यू गाइस सम होप, बट डोंट बी ओवर कॉन्फिडेंट बेस्ड ऑन दैट होप. In question 4, we have to write according to this. I agree with this section, then 6 advantages, 2 disadvantages, then 4 disadvantages, and 1 advantage. Then again 4 disadvantages, and then conclude. This is not at all a fixed way, but if you do it in this way, I would not mind it. I mean, अगर आपने अपने mind में ये बना लिया है कि this is the structure that I'm going to follow, then perfectly fine, nothing wrong with it. I would not. Uh, this is fine. If an answer is written in this way, they can fetch really uh, क्या कहते हैं good marks. So if I use info from sources for both curveball and course of action, is it fine? I mean, only from there. When you are done with one question, what you do with the other question does not matter. You can use info from the sources for as many questions as you want. Nobody is going to deduct any mark for that. In fact, you are you should do that basically. And by the way, what do you mean by both curveball and course of action? They are not going to come in the same paper. They replace each other. The curveball basically comes in place of course of action. When taking information from source, do we write it as it is or we rephrase in our own words? You mentioned the source you are taking the information from, but whether you rephrase it or write it as it is, that's perfect. Both ways are fine. But you do mention the source you are taking the data from. That's important. 3 more minutes, guys. At 4, I'm going to start with the. I'm going to move forward. How could we mention it? Like according to source one, the author highlights the advantages of online shopping, and he believes that online shopping is easier, cheaper, and saves a lot of time. Just that's how you use it. 2 more minutes, guys. After that, we are going to move forward. Okay. So we can move forward from here. So before moving on to queries, before moving on to the paper and then to the queries, I want to see what I've. Okay. let's move on. I'm just going to share the screen once again. All right. So I received a couple of papers. I'm just going to mark them here on screen if that's okay with you guys. All right. I've read the source 129, 1 out of 1. Identify one example of a claim. Going to school helps people, individuals, and families escape from extreme poverty. Yes, it is a claim. Correct. This example is a claim because it is proven without any accurate source. School solely does not help people. Not proven because it is asserted without any accurate source. Right? It is not proven. It is asserted because without any accurate source. School does not help people escape hunger and poverty. School does not always help people escape hunger and poverty. Sometimes it can. So you will not get 2 marks out, 2 marks in it. You will get 1 mark. Let's see the perspective. Question: Education Limited wants to educate girls out of school. Okay, good. The perspective is to promote equality between girls and boys in education and girls give girls chance to thrive. Perfect. Education for girls promotes sustainable development, clearly shows their perspective and reasoning behind their motive. Okay, that's also fine. They are up to providing services like tutors, blah blah blah, and to prove themselves capable of being achieving. They are supporting girls in having a better future. You might have mentioned their value here as well. Okay, this is their values, but yes, this is you should get 5 or 6 marks for it. I would give six. Some examiner might deduct a mark, or but usually you would get good marks for this response. Okay. Which benefit of girls educating you think was explained why? Most significant benefit is reduction in rate of child marriages and early pregnancies. Okay, so you have selected the option, 1 mark. Child marriages cases are great trauma in girls like as a senior people who may or may not be good to them. Okay. Due to this mental disorder, not arouse, arise. English is not that important, but still. Secondly, early pregnancies causes not morality, mortality. Your grammar and your vocabulary need some work and causes complications in mothers, which cause the death of both mother and child. Okay, fine. However, it also leads to prolonged birth span, which causes overpopulation in the region and the resources becomes limited for a family. Yes, prolonged birth span. Yes, when you start reproducing early, then you keep reproducing up till a late age. So your birth span is prolonged. Good point. These are all hardships can be solved if women are given education and are made. Okay, good answer. 7 marks because at two particular points you have used a word which completely changed the meaning of the answer. All right, let's have a look at this. There are a few strengths in this source. Okay, it did not compare with weaknesses. Firstly, a strength is that researcher used a clear focused question so that the aim does not slide and go off topic and attention is given. That's very good. Another strength is that researcher uses tally chart to record the statistics to find her conclusion and prove how teacher treats girls and how boys. Further, researchers also use an effective method of research, which is observation. However, it also contains several weaknesses. Firstly, she only observed 3 teachers for an hour, which is a small sample size. It is not representative to be generalized by all. Further, she sat back, which might have changed the behavior of the teacher, and she got more conscious and materialistic. How did she get materialistic? I don't see how she got materialistic. Moreover, another weakness is as the class is noisy, so it might have, yes, very good, circumstantial weakness. Further, the researcher is a female, so she, yes, that's very good. Most importantly, this is outdated draft from a social study. Okay, this is very good. You should get full marks, 8 marks out of 8, but ये materialistic आपने यहाँ पे क्यों use किया है ये मुझे नहीं पता. Okay. Wait, sorry, where did we go? Test this claim. Yeah. To test this claim, I would conduct both primary and secondary research. To start off, I will be first interviewing experts like educationists, female youth group, member teachers, and principals. I would also conduct interviews with personal testimonies like the female. Interview with personal testimonies या interview for personal interview यानी with the help of interviews you are extracting personal testimonies ना थोड़ी सी grammar पे आपको work करने की जरूरत है. I will record their answers and jot down main points. Okay, maybe that's what you're trying to say. Further, I will be conducting online surveys and polls to get more responses, representative data that can be generalized and added in my research. Good point. Moreover, I will also be observation. I will also do observation by using CCTV camera footage and record my judgment. After conducting my primary research, I will perform my secondary research. Oh, what the hell? Secondary research. For that, I will be reviewing journals, articles, and case studies of over 20 years and current verified data. I will go through websites like United Nations. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is also very good. 7 or 8 marks. Let's see here. Uh, okay, I agree with the argument of Dion. Fleur is an argument I use the more. Now, this is a mistake here. First of all, if you agree with Dion, you start discussing Dion first. You do not discuss the other person first. All right. Then you have also not made proper paragraphs. Fleur in her argument has used a more exertive tone. We must fight gender bias. Her tone is not polite or convincing, but more aggressive. Dion's language. So now you're doing a mix and match. You're making it difficult for the examiner to review your answer. Is more persuasive and convincing. Hence the to make Dion's argument more strong. Furthermore, Fleur has used her principal mother as an evidence, who is also a feminist, who clearly contains bias where Dion's ban international blah blah blah. Moreover, the reasons given by Fleur and solution are also very short term. Social education must challenge traditional gender roles which promote inequality in this region. You're using a source a bit too much in this question. I mean, you're referring the source too much. The sentences from the source too much, basically. Suggest everything long term is stated. So you're stating lines from the source again and again. I explained it yesterday. Do it 2 times at max, maybe three. Do not exceed three. All right. Stay for longer, which means, yeah, you are going to lose a few marks in this question. 12, 13, 12, 13, not more than that. There are structural issues. There are also issues of mix and match. You are not paragraphing and you are overusing the sentences from the source. It seems like it would seem to an examiner that you are actually filling this, trying to fill the space. All right. That's not a cool thing to do. All right. Let's see. This is another 1 marks, 1 mark, 2 marks. The writer of source 2 is of the perspective that people यहाँ पे अलबत्ता source से उसको मिलाना भी है आपने, but since you are doing it quickly, so I'm just letting it go at the moment. The perspective is based on the value of social justice. The writer aims to raise awareness, according to the writer, due to social unemployment. Yes. The writer supports the implementation as the source is written by an action group. It may be a little biased. This is good. 6 marks. I believe that armed conflict was the most significant thing because you left the last point undeveloped, so you might lose a mark there, but overall it's good. All right, so that's it, I guess. Now coming back to okay, some questions. Yeah, you no, you just mentioned what it is saying in the source. No, you write two paragraphs in question number three. The first paragraph should focus on the first person, or फिर the second paragraph should focus on the second person. Strengths and weaknesses of the first person, the person, yes, entirely separate. Okay. Now let's move on to the review of this paper. Frankly, I'm not even going to lie. I have seen better papers from some of you. All right. I found the same which we used 129 million. All right. Uh, so he says 129 million. Identify one example of a claim from source to education is a fundamental human right for girls and boys. As a claim, it can't be tested to be either a fact, it is a source, neither the source backs it or an opinion if it's different for each person. As a claim, it is neither a fact or an opinion. Now, this is basically a very complicated way to define a claim. He did define it, but he used the most complicated definition of claim that is out there. So, while I mean, great, but you should use the definition that we have discussed as it is much simpler and easier. All right. Acha. Now, the education unlimited believe education is a fundamental right for both boys and girls. They include the statistics which states this is this. Moreover, according to them, girls are capable of change. So, see, education for girls promoting sustainable development leads to stronger economies, equal societies. They support girls. Everything that I told you yesterday, this person did, and this is why I say Cambridge marking scheme makes no sense. They are giving 6 marks to answers like this, and yes, according to me, this person should get 6 marks. But then, if you look at their marking scheme, then that's वो पता नहीं क्या कह रही है हवाई सी मार्किंग स्कीम बनाई हुई है इस क्वेश्चन की so they definitely need to update the marking scheme for this particular question. I might even write to them about this. Okay, now moving forward, again, remember, I'm just कि हमने क्या pointers याद किए थे इस question. In my opinion, the most significant benefit of educating girls that it empowers women to become leaders. All right. Now, he's, he says that it empowers women to become leaders. That's it. Now he is not going to deviate from the leadership thing. Now his entire response should be about women becoming leaders. अब उसको इससे डिविएट करके किसी और बेनिफिट की तरफ नहीं जाना. इफ ही डज दैट ही विल लूज मार्क्स. ओके, उसने डिसाइड कर लिया ना कि वुमेन बिकमिंग लीडर्स इज द मोस्ट सिग्निफिकेंट बेनिफिट. बस खत्म. नाउ, if girls get the right to education, they will become great leaders capable of changing the world. It leads to other benefits as well, like improving wages and jobs for women and helping economic development. Going to school helps individuals escape from extreme poverty, and to do it as a girl despite their situation of minimum chances. It can lead them to having a very disciplined mindset. They can inspire other girls like them to be ambitious in schools and higher education and change the concept of traditional gender roles. To some extent, I find the answer slightly lacking, but no, he has not done anything in. I mean, I might not have given this person full marks. I might have given him 7 marks because once again, he left a point undeveloped here or there. But chale, it's good if Cambridge is marking leniently as compared to myself. Okay. Uh, the research provides a reliable source of UNICEF from the start, which boosts the credibility of the research. The researcher had a clear goal from the start to investigate if teachers give more attention to boys than girls in class. The research method uses observation, which can be used to get primary first-hand data. He showed the ability he showed his ability to research by tallying a chart and collecting statistical data. The sample size is too small and can't be used to generalize. Since they are in person, they can be a researcher's effort and influence in results. As a female researcher, they can have a bias. So he's he is uh, mentioning, what do you mean by he has also stated three benefits? So he is mentioning all the right strengths but and all the right weaknesses, but he's missing one thing. Can you mention that one thing? Yes, he did not start, and you can see how not starting with that line makes his answer a bit unclear कि भाई वो किस वक्त किस चीज की बात कर रहा है. That's why that starting line is very important. And like I said, that this person has gotten 70 marks out of 70, sure, but he examiner has been lenient on him. In my opinion, this is a 65, 66 marks paper at most. Okay. Uh, how this claim can be tested is I can conduct among girls equal to get primary qualitative interviews. This question is actually good. He does all basically qualitative, quantitative, and all these points he covers very good actually. This is good. First-hand data, however, there might be researchers effect. Researchers effect जिसको हम Hawthorne effect भी कहते हैं. That's perfect. Furthermore, the sample size will be too small. Lastly, I can conduct surveys amongst this can lead to a quantitative data, wider sample size, qualitative data is evidence, blah blah blah. This will also be researchers' effect, and the girls can also answer truthfully while remaining anonymous. Alright, so this is good. This would get 8 marks. He has used multiple ways and he has basically complemented all the research methods with the source of evidence. He has not एक एक बात नहीं कर रहा. अगर वो रिसर्च की बात करे तो बता रहा है कि वो रिसर्च किधर करेगा. अगर वो इफ ही इज टॉकिंग अबाउट लेट्स से इंटरव्यूज तो वो बता रहा है कि इंटरव्यूज किसके लेगा. सो दैट्स व्हाट आई मीन. ऑलराइट, दिस क्वेश्चन he I don't know why this guy does not start with these lines, and he is not losing marks for this. I am basically surprised. This is the only surprise for me. But uh, apart from that, his answer is perfect. His answer is very good. Play's argument is consistent and stays relevant to the topic. They have a clear stand from the start, providing reasons to back their claims. However, they are assertive from the start to achieve gender equality in equation in education. Start with schools. We must create classrooms. Sources. The argument is not balanced and doesn't take into account any counters. They generalize the fact that teachers, I don't know what this word is, better train need better training to help them prepare girls friendly lessons, girl friendly lessons. Their argument is opinionated and no sources at all are provided to back their claims. They have a vested interest in promoting their mother school. This is all very good. This was actually, I really liked his answer. This can be used as a sample answer. बस पहली line include करनी है. They did include an expert's testimony of a head teacher and feminist. However, it can be biased as well. So this he covers all the points. जैसे मैंने आपको बताया, पहले उसने फ्लोर के सारे पॉइंट्स कवर कर लिए एक पैराग्राफ के अंदर. देन he moves on to Dion. On the other hand, Dion has a standard and balanced argument which takes into account the counter argument. I agree, but the problem is not enough excellent school for girls. All right, then I think it's on extra sheet. His argument is clear and has detailed course of action. Government and charities must increase access to education with cultural, geographic, and social barriers. It still exists. He backs his claim by research alone. Research done by Plan International, which suggests that he spent it spent on higher girls' rights and education generates to a $2.80 return. To conclude, I think Dyer's argument is more convincing. So he does everything. He makes the conclusion. He does it according to the prescribed way. But एक बस चीज मिसिंग है कि स्टार्टिंग लाइन. आई थिंक समटाइम्स एग्जामिनर मे बी इग्नोर्ड इट कि यार उसने अच्छा लिखा हुआ है, हर चीज पूरी है, तो आई एम जस्ट गोइंग टू इग्नोर इट. बट you guys are not going to commit that mistake, okay? So, but the pattern is absolutely clear to us that we are going to make two paragraphs about both the persons each. Any questions regarding this? Are you clear? You should be clear. This is easy. This was basically what we just discussed yesterday. Yeah, moving on. हाँ, यहाँ पे शुक्र है भाईजान ने ये काम कर लिया. In my opinion, the action I would recommend is to the educational charity to build a new school for girls in a developing country. Then he goes on to support it. The most important issue is that there are not enough excellent schools for girls, especially in developing countries. It's important to build schools. There are culture, geographic, and social barriers still exist in developing countries. It's very he provides very good reasoning. Again, this guy is both knowledgeable and articulate. Meaning, इसकी writing का थोड़ा सा issue जरूर था, but his way of forming the arguments and his continuity was very good. I think that is one of the reasons that he got such good marks. But again, you see, he starts from here and up till here. Yeah, he keeps discussing the option he selected. He does not move on to the next option. हम में से बहुत से स्टूडेंट, आप में से बहुत से स्टूडेंट्स, what they are, the mistake they are डूइंग इज कि जो ऑप्शन वो सेलेक्ट करते हैं उसको उसका डिफेंस भी वो उतना ही करते हैं जितना वो बाकी दोनों ऑप्शंस का क्रिटिसिज्म करते हैं. दैट्स नॉट द राइट वे टू आंसर द क्वेश्चन. Your answer should first and foremost be formed around the option that you have selected. जो काउंटर आर्गुमेंट्स है वो बाद में आने आते हैं. पहले आप इसको प्रॉपर तरीके से जस्टिफाई करेंगे, देन यू कैन मूव फॉरवर्ड. In comparison, employing mentors could help girls fulfill their potential and gain qualification, can lead to quality and better life. But this might not be would not be helpful as they will. इसकी writing माशाल्लाह है वैसे. uh, Unfairness in primary and high schools, and secondary secondly, organizing teacher training on girl-friendly education can be a great way to fight gender bias. Girls and boys will be given the same opportunities in school and be ignored, will not be ignored by the teacher. Yes. Very good, Sefan, very good. To conclude, I think the other course of actions will not be possible without charities increasing access to schools in the first place. The only benefit of providing a mentor or providing teacher training is that they will be cheaper than building schools. Okay, so it's okayish. The conclusion is okayish, but overall, he his earlier arguments were pretty good. All right. So now assure you, I can definitely assure you that I have seen responses from many of you which are better than this guy. लेकिन जो प्रॉब्लम है, जो जो गुड थिंग अबाउट दिस पर्सन इज कि ही डजंट मेक एनी ब्लंडर्स आउट. आई डोंट नो, आई cater to the questions. अभी मैं आपके क्वेश्चंस डिस्कस करता हूँ. My first listen to my point. What I'm trying to say is कि he does not make any blunder. His approach to all the questions is correct. अगर इसके क्वेश्चन एक दो नंबर कहीं से मैं काटूंगा अभी, तो कम से कम भी इसको 66 तक मिलेंगे ही मिलेंगे. एक आध नंबर कहीं से कट सकता है मल्टीपल पॉइंट से. बट sometimes what happens कि when you have such a good inertia of answering questions, तो एग्जामिनर आपकी छोटी मोटी मिस्टेक्स को इग्नोर भी कर देता है. आई कैन गारंटी यू कि अगर शुरू से ही ये ब्लंडर्स मारना शुरू होता तो एग्जामिनर एंड में इसके उन छोटी छोटी गलतियों के भी नंबर काट रहा होता. इट्स कॉल्ड चेकर्स बायस. इट हैपेंस विद ऑल ऑफ अस, नथिंग न्यू. But you see, he identified the information correctly, he identified the claim correctly. His definition was complicated, but he gave the correct definition. Perspective question में उसकी अप्रोच बिल्कुल ठीक थी. उसने कोई आउटसाइड बेतुकी इंफॉर्मेशन इंक्लूड नहीं की. सिग्निफिकेंस क्वेश्चन में जो उसने लीडरशिप वाली बात सेलेक्ट की उसी को वो जस्टिफाई करता गया है. स्ट्रेंथ्स एंड वीकनेसेस वाले क्वेश्चन के अंदर उसने बोथ साइड्स कवर की. टेस्टिंग ए क्लेम में उसने multiple ways of testing दिए, and whenever he gave a method he gave the evidence, source of evidence along with the method. He did not just leave it for one thing. उसके बाद जो जो evaluation of argument में उसने properly 2 paragraphs बनाए, and then even though the first line was missing, conclusion में उसने उसको cover कर लिया. But I would not suggest to do that. Write it in the very first line. And again in the final question, he पहले उसने एक बड़ा ही strengthened defense present किया अपने question का, अपनी choice का. And then after that counter arguments में उसने बड़ा लाइटली उनको रिजेक्ट किया, बड़े अच्छे तरीके से उनको रिजेक्ट किया. उनको आउटवर्ड रिजेक्शन नहीं थी. ही रिजेक्टेड इट इन अ वेरी गुड वे. ओके. Will the handwriting annoy it can annoy the examiner? Seriously, I think some examiners छोटी छोटी mistakes, as long as you cut them properly, it's no issue. Yeah, that can happen. Sometimes when he's reading in flow, he might ignore the small mistakes, but when he stops, then he starts noticing those small mistakes. Okay. Any questions? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's move forward. Yesterday you guys presented some queries. हम उनको कवर कर लेते हैं थोड़ा सा. पहली queries थी World Bank for value judgment. So these are some of the words which are going to be very, when these words are present in a statement, then the likelihood of that statement being value judgment increases by a lot. इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि ऑटोमेटिकली ये स्टेटमेंट वैल्यू जजमेंट होगी, लेकिन when one of these words is there, it is basically high likelihood that that particular statement is a value judgment. But even then you have to see कि क्या उस चीज की राइटनेस रॉन्गनेस और इम्पोर्टेंस को जज किया जा रहा है कि नहीं किया जा रहा. गॉट इट और डिड नॉट गेट इट, इस बात की समझ लगी. ये नहीं है कि ये वर्ड देखना है और साथ ही साथ उसको वैल्यू जजमेंट कह देना है, बट these words definitely increase the likelihood of those statements being value judgment. All right. Now, some exam tips. Yes, of course. The first thing is time management. You have 1 hour, 25 minutes. All right. So keep in mind that for the last question, you should at least keep 25 minutes, meaning that the rest of your examination should be sorted out in the first hour. इसमें आप you can have 5 minutes to review the source. Some people review it quickly, but do not take more than five. Right? Question number 3 would require, once again, would require somewhere between 15 to 20 minutes. Now you are left with 40 minutes. Question number 2, part A, part B, again, both of them combined, at most I would say somewhere between 20 minutes, not more than that. So now we are left with 15 minutes. How you distribute those 15 minutes? 5 minutes for identification and statement question, 5 minutes for perspective question, and 5 minutes for significance questions. And that's it. If you follow this timeline, you should be able to resolve it. वैसे जो question number 3 you can also do it in less time. You can do it in 15 minutes as well, but obviously you can overlap from one place to another. So keep that in mind कि आपने टाइम को मैनेज करके चलना है, टाइम वेस्ट नहीं करना. अच्छा जी, what to write and where to write and where not to write, this is a very good, very ancient question. Students still are having confusion with this. Okay, now let's see, this is the paper, all right, and we are writing this question, and your question is extending beyond here, all right. So if it is extending up to 3 to 4 lines, you can just write those lines below this. It's perfectly fine, no issue. let Let me tell you why it is no issue. Because you see this box is what is scanned and sent to Cambridge, so you should keep it within this box. Now, coming to, let's say, this question, I don't think that there is any way you will be able to do justice to this question in this given space. मुझे तो ये समझ नहीं आ रहा कि given space है क्यों इतनी सी, इतनी कंजूसी किस बात की है कैम्ब्रिज को. So the moment you enter the examination room, just ask for an extra sheet in the beginning. Do not wait to reach this question, because I have heard recently there have been some discrepancies. Some people are not getting extra sheets on time. Some people are not getting extra sheets at all. So when you enter, ask for the extra sheet at once, because I don't see a way where you can get 15 or 16 marks in this question and you have just used this space. अच्छा, जब आपने एक्स्ट्रा शीट यूज करनी है तो दो चीजें बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है. सबसे पहले ये कि यहाँ पे बिल्कुल इधर, सॉरी इसके नीचे यहाँ पे, राइट टू बी कंटिन्यूड on extra sheet, ये लिखना बड़ा ज़रूरी है. और when it comes to extra sheet, you, yeah, this is how your extra your continuation booklet is going to be. और वो कुछ कोई कह रहा था कि सर उसके ऊपर तो इतना डेटा लिखना पड़ता है, हम तो लिख लिख के मर जाएंगे. My God, yeah, seriously, this all this, bus. So this is the question 3, and if the question has a part, you write it and then you start continue from there. So it's not a. I don't think this is a big deal. This should be. This should very. This should be quick. Actually, this is also a space where you can write 3 to 4 lines. Extension is perfectly fine. अलबत्ता अगर it's the perspective question, yes, इसके नीचे नहीं लिखना आपने. अगर आपका क्वेश्चन पर्सपेक्टिव क्वेश्चन एक्सटेंड हो रहा है, गो टू एक्स्ट्रा शीट वंस अगेन. डू नॉट राइट बियॉन्ड बिलो दिस लाइन, बिकॉज लाइक आई सेड, ये जो स्कैनिंग एंगल है इसका, ये डेंजरस है. It might not get properly scanned. So don't use don't write below this line in the perspective question. Use extra sheet. No worries. Extra time was given to us in Islamiyat for the time taken to distribute extra sheets, by the way. Okay. Why? What's? Why are you? Matlab, what is this? I don't appreciate this, by the way. Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's good that अगर उन्होंने if they you did not get is your center Liberty, ये जिनको compensation नहीं मिल रही, क्या इनका center Liberty है? Yes, I have heard so many bad things about the Liberty campus. That's I think this is terrible. Okay, they have now come under the Minar thing, and they have now they have clubbed a multiple they have clubbed multiple schools, and the treatment, the management is so bad. And I think that all the students should write about this Minar thing to Cambridge. Okay, this was not a good experiment, because they are now trying to overtake multiple schools in the next intake, and if they are not being able, they are not handling this, so the things are really going to get out of their hand. They want to. I understand, but I mean, she says that even for distributing extra sheets, they did not give them extra time. And I know that, okay, so you get extra time, great, but there were many people who were complaining that, okay, Aurelia में students are getting 15 minutes. Wow, that's crazy. So yeah, so they got extra sheets after 45 minutes, and still they did not get yeah, yeah, I am not hearing again. I don't know, might be good for a couple of oh my god. So might be good for a couple of people, but in majority of the cases, the Liberty campus under the Minar uh, administration, I've heard very bad things about them. So yes, I don't think this is a good experiment. Allah पूछेगा उनको. Yes, I mean, this is sad. All right, let's move on. uh, General, yeah, yeah. So we know how to use the extra sheet, and then yes, of course, organization of long questions. So whenever you are organizing a long question, keep in mind कि जब आप वो question पढ़ रहे होते हैं तो आपके माइंड में पॉइंटर्स आ रहे होते हैं, तो साइड पे वो पॉइंटर्स लिख लिया करें ऑन योर क्वेश्चन पेपर, और साइड पे एक छोटा सा स्ट्रक्चर बना लिया करें. व्हाई? बिकॉज वंस यू स्टार्ट राइटिंग एन आंसर, many things might evaporate from your mind afterwards, and then you will spend bila wajah ka time on, you will waste bila wajah ka time on just remembering what was there in your mind at the beginning, you know. So make sure that you're not stressing your mind needlessly. अगर mind आपका easily चीज़ों को cater कर रहा है, so just do it, right? अच्छा जी. One more query that was presented to me was sample answers. We discussed a lot of samples. I might share some more sample answers, but then after that, another query was possible strengths and weaknesses. All right. So these are the possible strengths of arguments. I've tried to cover almost all, but of course, two, three can be missing. But good line of reasoning is a strength, use of evidence, use of statistical data, logical argumentation, being unbiased, having no vested interest, real world application, balanced view, credible sources used, experts' opinion used, acceptable views. Uh, Maybe we can write official language. Uh, yeah, unofficial way of communication. And what more we can write here? Backing of international resources or slash organizations. Yeah, so these are possible strengths. Of course, I'll share this with you guys. Then come possible weaknesses: lack of evidence, no proper reasoning, too opinionated, which means that there is no data, no expert's opinion. If you are biased, it's a weakness. If you have a vested interest, it's a weakness. If your views are too extreme, it's a weakness. Generalization is a weakness. Too many claims or assumptions. Too many claims or contradictions, lack of clarity. All these things are possible weaknesses. Okay. Apart from samples, we have covered everything. I might provide samples more sometime. Okay, जी. ही खबर में sir, San Javed, you need to wake up. I sent all the PPTs in the group and the recordings. Just, I mean, come on, man, not cool. No, no, no. These are possible strengths or possible weaknesses. You can, you will have to see कि इसमें से अ, चार या पांच कौन सी अप्लाई हो रही हैं आपके पर्टिकुलर पर्सन के ऊपर या आर्ग्यूमेंट के ऊपर. You don't have to use all. These are just possible strengths and possible weaknesses. So आपके जो the argument that you are evaluating, उसमें इनमें से जो भी अप्लाई हो रही है, ये भी ठीक है. जितने याद रहे. Yes, ये भी that's also correct. Perfect. जी, any more questions before we wrap it up? Any more questions? Any more questions? If I identify a lot of weaknesses, do I have to write them all or five or six? Which question are you talking about? Are you talking about the 8 mark question? Then five or six weaknesses are more than enough. Couple them up with two strengths. But if you're talking about the evaluation of argument, उसमें आप इससे ज़्यादा भी लिख सकते हैं weaknesses. But once again, like, you don't have to write them all. No. You are. Bye bye. जी. Not today, someday else. For question 4, can we merge the optional paragraph and the course of action we are pursuing? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So kindly share PPT. Yes, of course I will. Sir, okay, of course. 70 mark specimen. Yeah, sure, I will. No problem. I will show all the resources. Resources that I have, I will share with you. So can I lower 50 words of my IR and send you? Don't ask irrelevant questions, please. Who wants to? Any more questions relevant to the source? Relevant to the source. Any more questions? Relevant to what we are discussing right now. Hmm. So we are done. All clear. I might have one more revision session. Sorry, that's the phone. One more revision session on 5th, and yeah, some paper checking along the way. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, see you guys. Best of luck. You can throw some queries my way if you feel like. But apart from that, I think we have covered everything. Hopefully, you guys will score 65, 66 plus marks. Some of you might even score 70. You can. Uh, but yeah, Haris Ilyas, you are not going to score 67 marks. Chalo. Okay. See you guys. Goodbye. Inshallah.